One of the scariest situations as a parent is to have your kids taken away from you. And we're not talking about by government, law enforcement, CPS. No, we're talking about in the trafficking rings that are taking place all over the globe. It has to be one of the most nerve wracking things to know that people are out here and their sole purpose is to lure your kids away or young adults away and take them Lord knows where. On the west coast of Florida, they just had a sting operation where they arrested 288 people. 288 people that were arrested in this sting operation, all surrounding sex trafficking. Let's listen to one of the most entertaining sheriffs I've ever listened to, Grady Judd, as he goes through this interview with this news channel. And we'll listen to him talk about some of the people that he came across and some of the people that he actually had to arrest. You will be surprised with the people that got caught up in this thing. Before we get into that, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and turn on that notification bell for when we drop new videos. All right, here we go.
And this morning, we're speaking with Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd about a massive human trafficking sting that was dubbed Operation March Sadness. A record 288 people arrested, including suspected illegal immigrants. A teacher, coaches, even active duty military members were caught up in this sting. And Sheriff Judd is joining us this morning to talk more about this. First of all, great to have you. Thank you again for taking the time to be with us this morning.
Well, good morning, Amy. I'm glad to be with you in the Orlando area.
So, Sheriff Judd, there were some very disturbing, troubling parts of this story. What were some of the biggest things that disturbed you about this sting operation?
Well, we had so many just jaw-dropping moments. When two 16-year-olds, 17-year-old brother came from Wesley Chapel, the next county over, to try to rob us with a BB gun, and they got arrested. And then you focus on the 21 people that were here illegally. That's right. Let me give you just a snapshot of three of, we believe, human trafficking victims. They wanted to come to the United States. So the human trafficker arranged for them to come here illegally. And then they got a voucher from DHS, flew to Yonkers, New York. She set up their prostitution stings. She had a handler that went with them every place. And she said, on Friday, you give me $3,000 apiece. So for just these three people, who knows how many she was working, she made $9,000 a week. And she made sure they flew around the country. So we asked them, well, you came from New York to Tampa to Lakeland. Is that correct? Yes. How'd you get here? Well, we had this voucher from DHS. They told us they're flying around the country on this federal voucher. So get a load of this. They are flying around the country on a federal voucher to turn prostitution stings, and the girls aren't free to leave because they've got to pay back. That is a scary thing.
So if you just listen to that, we're funding for these people to fly all over the world. And these are victims of the trafficking ring. That's insane. I mean, just listening to this, I'm getting chills because it's like, how do you allow these type of things to happen? And this is why you got so much uproar when people talk about, oh, the open borders and you don't know who's coming in. These are the type of things coming across the border.
We have them being victims. Even though they're here illegally, they're victimized. We have the people all throughout this country that are violating the law and are potentially exposed to HIV. The border's wide open. Fentanyl's coming across. The drugs are all over killing our people, and we're just beside ourselves. And then we catch our own military people, a staff sergeant in the operation, another airman first class out of MacDill, who is also a police officer for the military, and he's here with illegal people, supposedly having sex. You know, it's just a shock.
It's crazy how many people got caught up into this. We already heard the military. There's officers involved in this. As it keeps going, there's more people involved in this. And if your hairs aren't standing up on your neck, I don't know how, because mine are. Let's keep going.
It's a shock, Sheriff, and to hear the number of people that were caught up in this. And you guys do these sting operations all the time. And as you said in your news conference, you're going to continue to do them. And I think one of the things that you said that, maybe a lot of people took a chuckle at was that, it's hard to believe that people continue to fall for this stuff.
Well, of course. Now, we only arrested 42 that lived in Polk County, and I guess that's 42 people under rocks someplace, because we don't make a secret of this. The rest of them came from throughout not only Central Florida, we had people from like 12 different states that were in Central Florida for whatever reason and decided, hey, they'd pick up someone. We had a guy tell us, well, Monday I got to go to the county jail for 10 days, so I just wanted some stress relief before I went to jail. We had a wife call us and thank us for arresting her husband.
It ain't funny.
She said, now
but
maybe
it's funny.
we can get our marriage put back together.
Wow.
We had the craziest week that we've ever seen in one of these operations. But the good news is, when you look at the 13 victims of human trafficking we believe we've identified, along with our other two operations, we have a record high 58 victims we believe we've rescued from human trafficking.
Wow, well, that is certainly the good that comes out of it. And Sheriff, we're showing, this widescreen shot of all the arrests that you made. I assume that all of the ones that are in black or that you can't see their faces, those are some of the victims that you found.
Absolutely. Those are the potential human trafficking victims. And we work with our NGOs, our mental health counselors from the community. We have them at the operation. So we start screening them from.
When you look at this board, you got all races, look like nationalities, ages. Like, it's just a wide variety of people. Now, if you probably didn't see the top, but it says these are people who are seeking prostitution. And then the ones that are blacked out were possible victims. So just look at all these people, all these faces that were out looking for the services that were being provided via trafficking.
Being a victim of human trafficking from the moment the transaction occurs, and then they follow them for weeks and months, because that night a lot of these folks don't admit that they're victims because they're more afraid of their human trafficker or their pimp than they are of the criminal justice system and law enforcement. But when our NGOs work with them over the next weeks and months, you cannot believe how successful they've been in rescuing these people who are being gripped. Oh, and by the way, did I tell you the human trafficker that we believe are running these three illegal folks is an illegal Dominican female out of South Florida. We're hot on her trail. If she doesn't get her butt on an airplane and leave this country, we're going to have her locked up before long.
And you hear South Florida got it going on. We got stuff all over the place, but that's no secret. South Florida has always been a hot spot for different things. But again, this trafficking thing is huge. And again, 288 people were taken down during this thing, and they're going to go through the steps to try to find out who's the actual victims. But if you look at some of the nuances that go into these kind of sting operations, they have to figure out who's who, right? Do you have any major players up in the mix? Do you have people who are victims posing as others because they're afraid of even coming out and saying anything? These were once people who possibly had family. Some people may have just been vulnerable and they got sucked up into this. The news reporter says she's surprised people still fall for this, but you know what? I guess they're creative with how they set up their sting operations. The one thing that threw me was the one guy who said he just needed some relief before he had to turn himself in the next 10 days. And the lady who said, well, I'm glad you arrested my husband because now maybe we could put our marriage back together. I really don't think you want to put that marriage back together if he got caught up in one of these sting operations. But y'all tell me what y'all think about this. Sex trafficking is one of those things that's always giving me chills. Probably one of the main reasons why I don't do too much traveling. But y'all tell me what y'all think. Leave it down in the comments. And until next time, I'm out.